Allah, the Merciful, the Beneficent. Now with the main headlines. Shia Muslims commemorate martyrdom anniversary of Sayyidah Zainab worldwide. Iranian authorities ban Ayatollah Sayyid Hussein al-Shirazi from travelling to participate in his daughter's funeral procession. After devastating Turkey and Syria quakes, thousands of people in need of emergency aid. Uyghur Muslims in Turkey coerced by China to spy on each other. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. This is Aruj and you're watching Shia Waves live from Imam Hussein TV 3. Shia Muslims commemorate martyrdom anniversary of Sayyidah Zainab worldwide. The Syrian capital of Damascus is witnessing the influx of thousands of Ahlul Bayt followers from all over the world to mark the martyrdom anniversary of Sayyidah Zainab, peace be upon her, today, the 15th of Rajab, corresponding to the 7th of Feb. Sayyidah Zainab, peace be upon her, is the daughter of Imam Ali and Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra, peace be upon them. Her painful martyrdom is on the 15th of Rajab for the year 62 AH. The Holy Zainabiyya courtyard has been covered in black to mark this tragedy that befell Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. Mourning ceremonies and Husseini processions have begun flocking towards the holy shrine to commemorate her martyrdom and to extend heartfelt condolences to Imam Mahdi. May Allah hasten his honourable reappearance. It is worth mentioning that the Director of the Public Relations Office of the Supreme Religious Authority, Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq al-Hussein al-Shirazi, Sayyid Arif Nasrallah, arrived in Damascus last week with a delegation to discuss preparations for the commemoration of Sayyidah Zainab's martyrdom. Husseiniya's mosques and Islamic centres in Islamic and non-Islamic countries commemorate this tragedy by holding mourning ceremonies, Husseini processions and scholars delivering lectures on the honourable biography of Sayyidah Zainab, peace be upon her. Imam Hussein TV 3 sends their heartfelt condolences to the Imam of the time, Imam al-Mahdi. May Allah hasten his reappearance into the Muslim world on the martyrdom anniversary of Sayyidah Zainab, peace be upon her. Son of Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq al-Hussein al-Shirazi, Ayatollah Sayyid Hussein al-Shirazi could not travel to Iraq to take part in funeral procession of his daughter who passed away on Friday, last month of Muharram. The Iranian authorities seized passports of Ayatollah Sayyid Hussein al-Shirazi and imposed a travel ban on him, violating travel laws in the country. According to travel laws of Iran, no person should be prevented from leaving the country except by judicial ruling from the Iranian courts, allowing the authority to seize his passport and prevent him from leaving the country. Ayatollah Hussein al-Shirazi was back from Kuwait on the eve of the month of sorrow, Muharram, when the authorities took away his passport and imposed a travel ban on him. This oppressive procedure comes in an attempt to silence the Supreme Religious Authority, Grand Ayatollah Shirazi, and to stop him from criticising and exposing the oppression and injustice of the so-called Walayat al-Faqih. It is worth noting that Ayatollah Hussein al-Shirazi's daughter's funeral is in Holy Najaf and will arrive to Holy Karbala, where she will be buried in Husseiniya of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Thousands of children and families are at risk after two devastating earthquakes and dozens of aftershocks hit southeast Turkey and Syria. More details in the following report.
Has passed 5,000 with more than 25,000 injured after a powerful 7.8 earthquake hit Turkey and Syria yesterday. Local emergency rescuers in both countries have said that the toll is likely to rise as more people are still under the rubble. Thousands of homes are likely to have been destroyed, displacing families and exposing them to the elements at a time of year when temperatures regularly drop below freezing and snow and freezing rain are common. Heavy snowstorms have also recently hit parts of Syria and Turkey, with further sub-zero temperatures forecasted. It is likely that schools, hospitals, and other medical and educational facilities will have been damaged or destroyed by the quakes, further impacting children. Potential damage to roads and critical infrastructure will also complicate search and rescue efforts and the wider humanitarian response. Children in Syria continue to face one of the most complex humanitarian situations: a worsening economic crisis, continued localized hostilities after more than a decade of grinding conflict, mass displacement, and devastated public infrastructure have left 2/3 of the population in need of assistance. Food insecurity reliance and unreliable and alternative water sources are a major concern, with high levels of school dropouts are acute. Waterborne diseases pose another deadly threat to children and families affected. Waterborne diseases pose another deadly threat to children and families affected. In Syria, a cholera outbreak declared on 10 September 2022 quickly spread across the country, with children especially vulnerable. The quake, one of the strongest to hit the region in more than 100 years of records, struck 23 kilometers, which is approximately 14.2 miles, east of Nordagi, Gaziantep province, at a depth of 24.1 kilometers, approximately 14.9 miles, the U.S. Geological Survey said. Death toll.
Let us remind our respected viewers of today's headlines. Shia Muslims commemorate martyrdom anniversary of Sayyidah Zainab worldwide. Iranian authorities ban Ayatollah Sayyid Hussein al-Shirazi from travelling to participate in his daughter's funeral. Earthquake in Turkey and Syria, killing over 5,000. More than 6 years into China's campaign to eradicate independent Uyghur society at home, the Chinese authorities are going to great lengths to keep tabs on ordinary Uyghurs abroad, media reported. The roughly 50,000 Uyghurs in Turkey face unique risks. The country has welcomed waves of Uyghur refugees since the 1950s under policies supporting ethnic groups with cultural and linguistic ties to Turkey. Now home to the largest Uyghur immigrant population outside of Central Asia, Turkey has become a focus for the Chinese espionage, Radio Free Asia reported. Chinese officials consider those in exile just by being abroad people who they need to keep a very close eye on, said Maya Wang, Associate Director of Human Rights Watch Asia Division. The purpose is to tighten control and surveillance and repression of everyone who's from that community, generating a sense of fear and therefore compliance and loyalty to the Chinese government. Even when you're thousands of kilometers away from Beijing, she said, RFA reported. Several Uyghur expatriates all over the world told media outlets of recent Chinese attempts to intimidate them into being informants. They all had downloaded WeChat or Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok, in order to keep in touch with relatives back home. Officials had then manipulated those digital ties to try to coerce them into spying on their communities abroad. Many of these Uyghurs declined to go on the record, fearing for the safety of relatives still in China. Coercing Uyghurs to gather information on each other undermines trust and can dampen social and cultural gatherings, preventing Uyghur refugees from rebuilding their communities abroad, RFA reported. And now we continue with some short news. The UK-based Imam Hussein charity is sending emergency aid to the victims of the earthquake which hit Turkey and Syria. World Health Organization estimates that as many as 23 million people across Turkey and Syria are in deplorable atmosphere and in dire need of emergency aids. The 7.8 magnitude quake struck near Gaziantep in the early hours of Monday while people were asleep. Death toll has passed 5,000, with over 25,000 people affected and requiring urgent assistance. Imam Hussein charity began sending emergency aid immediately after the earthquake hit both Turkey and Syria. It is worth noting that the charity has its live appeal open to anyone who wishes to donate and help provide emergency aid to those affected. The Victoria Road Shia Mosque in Newport, Wales hosted an interfaith meeting to promote social cohesion and mutual understanding. The meeting was organised by Mubarak Ali, the Secretary of Islamic Society of Wales. This is a very positive event, and the gathering of all these wonderful people reflects a sense of coexistence, said Ali. Representatives and members of the local parliament, the Mayor of Newport and local church leaders were among those who attended the ceremony. Human chains, rallies and protest demonstrations were held across Pakistan on Sunday to express solidarity with the pro-independence movement in Jammu and Kashmir. The day, a national holiday, began with special prayers in the mosques for the liberation of Kashmir. A minute's silence was observed throughout the country at 10 a.m. local time. Thousands of people formed human chains on roads connecting the capital Islamabad to Pakistan and administrated Kashmir. The key ceremony was held near the Parliament House in Islamabad, which was attended by lawmakers and a large number of students. Another rally was taken out from Foreign Minister, which was attended by diplomats, students and civil society members. Algeria has announced its decision to print and distribute copies of the Noble Quran, especially for the blind people in France. Qurans in Braille are being printed and will be distributed through the Paris mosques. The aim of this project is to spread the teachings and instructions of Islam based in the verses of the Noble Quran. The United Nations said on Monday that 289 civilians were injured in the explosion of mines and munitions left over from war in Al-Hudaydah, western Yemen, during the past year. The United Nations mission to support the Hudaybiyah agreement confirmed in a statement that the number of victims due to the explosion of landmines and explosive remnants of war in the province increased by 160% during 2022 compared to 2021, when 111 were injured. The statement confirmed 112 children and 15 women were among the injured in the incidents. Reports from international and local organisations indicate that Yemen witnessed the largest landmine laying operation since the end of World War II. Prisoners mutinied in a northwestern Syrian prison Monday following a deadly earthquake, with at least 20 escaping the jail, holding mostly IS group members, a source at the facility told AFP. The military police prison in the Syrian town of Rajo near the Turkish border holds about 2,000 inmates, with about 1,300 of them suspected to be IS fighters, said the source. After the earthquake struck, Raja was affected and inmates started to mutiny and took control of parts of the prison, said the official at Raja jail. The 7.8 magnitude quake, which was followed by dozens of aftershocks in the region, caused damage to the prison, with walls and doors cracking. It caused thousands of dead and injured. The incident in Raja comes on the heels of an IS attack in December on a security complex in the former de facto Syrian capital of Raqqa, which aimed to free fellow jihadists from a prison there. The conflict in Syria started in 2011 with the brutal repression of peaceful protests and escalated to pull in foreign powers and global jihadists. Nearly 500,000 people have been killed, and the conflict has forced around half of the country's pre-war population from their homes, with many seeking refuge in Turkey. A dysfunctional health system, widespread poverty and increased restrictions placed on women are at the heart of the current humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan, according to a new report published by Médecins Sans Frontières today. Policymakers, donors and local authorities must urgently focus on strengthening basic medical care at district levels to improve people's access to health care. International organisations must address the issues contributing to the economic crisis, and women must be allowed to pursue further education and employment opportunities to raise income for their families, the report added. A staggering 95% of people said they had faced difficulties in affording food over the past 12 months, primarily as a result of rising unemployment rates and stagnant salaries accompanied by increasing prices, especially for basic food items. In December 2022, Taliban announced its decision to bar women from employment in non-governmental organisations and from university-level education. This will likely worsen women's access to healthcare. We have reached the end of today's Shia Waves show. Let's remind our viewers of today's headlines. Shia Muslims commemorate martyrdom anniversary of Sayyidah Zainab worldwide. Iranian authorities banned Ayatollah Sayyid Hussein al-Shirazi from travelling to participate in his daughter's funeral procession. After devastating Turkey and Syria quakes, thousands of people in need of emergency aid. Uyghur Muslims in Turkey coerced by China to spy on each other. At least 20 escaped Syria prison holding IS inmates after the earthquake. Afghans living through poverty, unemployment and dysfunctional healthcare system. You can view the latest news on Shia Waves website, and you can send news of your city or country to be published on our news agency. Contact us on the numbers at the bottom of the screen. This is the end of today's news. Thank you for watching. We pray to Allah Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Wa alaikum assalam.
إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم